Alright, it is Monday evening and we were able to slide in 2 quick games to hit Master Rank 3. So if we take a look at our match history here, you can see that we've been doing pretty well, only 2 losses so far in all of Master 5 and 4. And as you guys saw, if you watched my previous videos, one of these losses was nothing we can do. We literally just bricked up super hard. In this matchup here, I made the wrong call and deservedly lost. We'll maybe take a look at that one. And then we went on a 5-win streak. I did use a combination of KASHTIRA and then I switched over to Floowandereeze after I was kind of feeling like KASHTIRA seems to be a little weak, at least in its purest form. I think the Punk Cash is probably the better version. But let's go ahead and take a look at this run in Master 4 that got us into Master 3, going 5 wins and only 1 loss. So we're going to start in order here with the first match of Master Rank 4, which is the match that we lost. And it's okay to lose your first match because it doesn't actually impact the net +5 that you actually need. So as you can see, we went on a 5-win streak afterwards and we were still able to be promoted. Whereas if we were to lost a match midway through after winning 1 or 2, it would reset us back down and we would still need like the +5 to advance. So if you're going to lose a match, losing it at the start is definitely the way to go. Our opening hand to start off is absolutely insane. We have Pot of Prosperity, Shifter, Insane, Get, Unicorn, and Fenrir. And if we go uninterrupted, we're golden. Unfortunately, KASHTIRA is fairly fragile in its pure form, because as you can see here, this Gamma is going to shut down Unicorn, which prevents me from getting the Birth, which basically prevents me from getting the double Xyz plays on board. This card really did work for the opponent. It's going to force me now to go into Fenrir, which is still fine. At least we have some follow-up. Grab the Rise Heart, and then a special summon. Okay, banish Ogre since we already have Unicorn banished. Since we're under Shifter, everything's getting banished. So we got a decent follow-up, which is good because it means both of our preparations and if we get Birth to hand, we'll have a lot of follow-up by bringing back from the Banish pile, because both of them bring back from Banished, Preparation also does from hand, and Birth also does from Graveyard. So the mistake I make here, in hindsight, is going into Shangri-Era. Because I'm under Shifter, I could have gone into Diablosis and actually ripped a card from the extra deck, and ripping a Zeus is always beneficial since it's a 1-of. Or just seeing what the opponent is on, ripping the 1-of Kick Kalos if I was facing Telements, etc. can have a lot of play. The opponent's under Shifter, so if they were under if we were facing up like D-Link or Telements, we're in a pretty good spot. But going for Shangri-Era here actually doesn't really do anything, because I'm going to bring Fenrir to field, where if I would have done Diablosis, I could detach the Fenrir that's attached anyways, and then bring it back with Preparations, and I end on Diablosis ripping a card from the extra deck and the Fenrir, instead of just Fenrir, right? And the Shangri-Era doesn't really do anything. So the opponent is on Sprite. They normal summon Beaver, no effect. Special summon Jet, no effect, so it doesn't trigger Fenrir. And at this point I'm like, yep, I'm getting Zeused, and I have 1 card left in my hand. And none of the cards on field are going to do anything against this, right? So they go Battle Phase, yep, Sky Cavalry, crash into Fenrir, and then Zeus, or Downward into Zeus. No monster effects on field are activating. I activate this for no reason. But the Zeus effect will activate, but by the time the Zeus effect resolves, all of my cards will be wiped, so I can't have any follow-up. Now the opponent likely has some decent follow-up for turn, so the only combination of cards I can draw here to win, or even come back in this game, I have to top deck Pot of Extravagance, and then Extravagance into an Imperm and a Birth in order to win, in order to have a chance, or Unicorn. So we draw the Imperm and nothing we can do, because if we draw Birth, we could have technically extended, but the opponent still has 2 materials on their Zeus, so they just end up Zeusing as soon as we activate Birth anyways, and we lose. So there's no point in staying in here. I just let the opponent get, I guess, some of their challenges in, but we deservingly lose that game. The Gamma did work, and then yeah, not going for the play to rip the Zeus really hurt, so we deservingly lose that one, and that was our first match of Rank 4. I hope you guys understand what I mean when I say that KASHTIRA going first especially can seem fairly weak, and that was a prime example why, is because even if I did go for Diablosis, Diablosis and Fenrir is still not the strongest end board, but it's just 1 disruption. In this matchup here, we end up summoning Fenrir, searching for Unicorn, and then bringing out the Rise Heart. Normally we would have searched for Rise Heart if we didn't have it in hand already. Banish 3 face down, we banish Ogre with the Rise Heart, and then now we learned our lesson and we're going to go straight for the Diablosis. Funny enough, this opponent did not have Zeus in their extra deck, but they were playing Sprite, and we banished the 1-of Sprint. Diablosis will activate now to banish another couple of cards, so a total of 8 banished face down. We set the Imperm, and this is our disruption, right? Very, very weak. The opponent's going to have 6 cards in hands. All they have to do is play through an Imperm, and, we're in huge trouble here. Next turn, we could potentially follow up with Unicorn and get Birth and etc. But by that point the opponent might have an established board and we can't play through it with what we have. So this is why I think like pure KASHTIRA isn't actually that good, even though the KASHTIRA monsters themselves are really strong. The pure form of KASHTIRA is probably better played as like a hand trap turbo, where you just focus on your main deck monsters and then backed up by hand traps and imperms, interruptions basically. But the problem with that is that you're susceptible to board breaks. Now in this matchup here, thankfully the opponent was pretty weak normal in terms of their opening hand, summoning Maxi for a normal summon and then special summoning red and then going for Elf. I could have taken the risk and let them bring back the Elf, go into Gigantic and then attempt to activate Gigantic effect and then impermed the Gigantic. Which would have reduced it from 32 down back to 16 if they used Elf as material. But I was like, let me just not even risk it just in case they just pass on Red and Elf. And then they have additional follow-up like what you see here. So stopping the Elf there is huge. They have 2 face down, which is really interesting. I don't know like what they could possibly be bricked up on. Because they clearly didn't have hand traps, otherwise they would have stopped my Xyz plays on turn 1, right? So I'm really curious. I'm going to go ahead and activate Diablosis for the first action of main phase 1. The opponent reveals Double Cross, which if you're going to Double Cross, you probably should have toggled on, done it in the draw phase so that I didn't get the chance to detach a material. What this does though is I still am going to get a chance to banish a card from your extra deck, but I won't trigger the effect to banish another 9 cards face down. So I ripped the second Elf. They have no more Elf. That was the last one in the extra deck. We're going to go ahead and special summon Unicorn. They're going to chain Elf and bring back Red here. And now my Talents is live, which is fantastic. We hard drew the Birth, so it's fine. But we end up searching another Birth. Talk about not great timing. But then we're going to activate Birth and bring back Fenrir. So this is super strong. We're going to go battle phase, make a mistake here, not thinking things through. I should have Unicorn attack Elf. That makes it so that Red and Diablosis would be targetable, which means Fenrir could target one of them to banish, and then the Red would be offline anyways because you need to tribute another like rank link 2 monster to negate. So I should just beat over the Unicorn and then beat into Red, banish the Diablosis face down, but I didn't do that, so as a result I waste my Fenrir banish. I don't know if that's waste, I mean both the Elves are gone forever now, but yeah, I did kind of waste it because it leaves them with Diablosis. Nonetheless, though, we were going to be able to follow up with Talents. Main phase 2, we're going to use Fenrir to search Ogre, which we're going to be able to normal summon from Birth, search Trap card, and then we just have the whole engine rolling, all the disruptions, and the opponent just was like, yep, okay, I guess they were bricked up too, and they just end up scooping it up. So this matchup here, we end up going second, and I think Cash feels much safer going second because a lot of the KASHTIRA monsters naturally like facilitate board breaking. And now that I think about it in the TCG, when you watch these high-level events, and you often see Game 3 people letting their opponent go first with KASHTIRA, this is probably one of the reasons why. Is because you can play a number of good going second cards, and your KASHTIRA monsters can board break and easily OTK from there. This opponent reveals that they're on Runic KASHTIRA, which is interesting. And again, going first with KASHTIRA, this is a pretty weak end board. I mean, sucks that yes, now I'm under Max C and Runic Fountain, which is like insanely bad for me. But we're gonna start off with the Extravagance draw into a Prosperity, which isn't good. As soon as we special summon Unicorn, they draw and might have drawn into that Flashing Fire, which instantly destroys our Unicorn. And then they end up drawing again off Fountain. We special summon another Unicorn, they draw again off Maxi, so that's 2 draws off Maxi, and they have the Freezing Curses to negate the getting of Birth, which would have really helped me win this game if I was able to get it right here. But the small saving grace is the Runic cards are banishing my KASHTIRA monsters, which means that if I end up getting Birth or Preparations, both of them are going to have a lot of utility because they both bring back from banished. So I can't draw off of the Talents, which would have been amazing because the opponent actually revealed off Ogre that Birth was going to come up next. They opted to banish the Evenly Matched though off of the Ogre here. But Talents to draw would have been insane because I would have been able to draw into Birth, but I have to do Talents to take because I'm locked under Extravagance. So we end up taking the Ogre here. The opponent has 3 cards in hand. They probably have more Runic cards, which they're going to be able to draw at least 2 next turn when they go through their Freezing Curses to put back. We normal summon the Rise Heart, banish a Fenrir, banish 3 face down, special summon again, which probably was a misplay, but I wasn't going to be able to OTK because we know the opponent had Preparations from their own Ogre, and if they have any other Runic card to special summon a Hugin or like a Jerry or something, right, they're going to end up not getting OTK'd. So unfortunately, yeah, I attacked with the wrong card first too, so that's another misplay in the Rise Heart, but I'm going to be able to activate Ogre here, and I banish the next card that they were going to draw, which was a Runic Freezing Curses, which means if I Xyz summon, which I obviously am going to do since I took their Ogre, I am going to give them a free draw into Unicorn, and then they're going to draw Runic Destruction for turn. So this is important to keep track of, right? In their graveyard now, they have a Max C, a Freezing Curses. We banish the other Freezing Curses, and they also have a Rise Heart now. So main phase 2, we go Xyz Summon with the Rise Heart and the opponent's Ogre into Dark Armed Dragon, or Dark Armed, the Dragon of Annihilation. The opponent draws the Unicorn. We pop the Fountain, so I guess the opponent did not have another activatable Runic card right now because they could have summoned Hugin to protect, so that's fine. And then we're going to obviously pop the Birth as well, because if we didn't, they would be able to use it to bring back the Rise Heart. And obviously, if we didn't do that, we would have kept the Ogre, but we don't want to give them any way to possibly extend. So the Preparations is not online because they don't have anything banished, but they could summon from hand. They opt to special summon Unicorn that we knew that they drew, activate Fountain here, and then activate Flashing Fire. So they did indeed have a Runic card because we knew that they drew Destruction for turn. This is crazy. They opted not to protect with Hugin their Birth, right? Because I'm pretty sure Hugin protects any back row from Destruction, which they could have done against the Dark Armed Dragon. Maybe they were thinking like it's not worth it because Hugin protect and then they just pop it again anyways. So I guess it's maybe not a misplay, but it's hard to analyze what would have been the right choice given what was the opponent's hand. So the Destruction here is really important because if they hit the Imperm, this is amazing. I just Imperm the Unicorn and it negates the Preparations. But if it hits the Preparations, I'm kind of in trouble here. So the Destruction ends up targeting the Preparations. We activate it. I guess I thought the opponent would be able to activate their own Preparations and rip the card from my hand, but it didn't ask them to activate, I guess. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll chain Imperm because it'll negate your Preparations at the same time as negating your Unicorn. And so we're able to do that, thankfully. And normally we would be in a great position, but the crappy part is the opponent has Runic Fountain up, and they're going to draw 3. So the Destruction goes through, it banishes a couple of cards, they do banish the Birth, which kind of sucks. But they draw 3, and then the battle phase is skipped, which means the Unicorn can't beat over my Fenrir. We draw Ash for turn, the opponent's going to go ahead Preparations, summon out their own Fenrir, because they want to put us off of not activating monster effects, and I'm like, that's totally fine, because I'll just beat over these things. We Prosperity for 3, grab Talons in case the opponent does end up putting up some kind of dynamic disruption that can activate, like with a Jerry or something. And we're just going to go Battle Phase, beat over everything. And then Fenrir banish the Runic Fountain face down. So the attack sequence matter there. We have to get rid of the Fenrir first, and then get rid of the Unicorn, so the opponent has no opportunity to activate any effects to banish our cards, either from extra deck or on the field via Fenrir. And then we banish with the Fenrir, the Fountain that was face up after attacking with it last. Main phase 2, now that the opponent has no disruptions, we can go ahead and activate Fenrir to search for another Fenrir, and then Xyz Summon into another Dark Arm. Now, again, might be a misplay, but I just want to put the opponent on no resources, so we end up getting double Dark Arms on the field, and yeah, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, the opponent could easily have full combo here. They summon Ogre, and we know that we already popped their trap, and they end up crashing. At this point, I was like, yeah, I think I know the game is over, thankfully. And the opponent ends up banishing our Birth there, but they crash, and then we still have Dark Armed, for destroy 1 next turn, but the opponent just ends up scooping in main phase 2. So that was a really odd match. I really don't think I played that all that well, but we were able to come up with the win regardless. And again, you can see where I'm seeing some fragile choke points that you can kind of cut KASHTIRA off of, making it kind of seem a little bit weak now that it's been a couple days into the meta.